The Harris family has been hit with scandals before, but nothing, and I mean nothing, compares to this. A jail tape has surfaced featuring none other than King Harris, and what's inside that recording has the internet in absolute meltdown mode. Forget Chrissy and Rock's chaos, forget Blueface's circus. This right here makes the Kardashians look like they're hosting a church bake sale. On the tape, King isn't just another celebrity kid caught in trouble. He's exposed. His words, his secrets, his reckless bravado splattered across social media like gasoline on a fire. And standing in the wreckage? His father, T.I., the self-proclaimed king of the South, reduced to a broken man watching his legacy crumble. Fans are saying they've never seen Tip like this. Devastated, humiliated, blindsided by his own son. This isn't just gossip. This is a cultural earthquake. It's the kind of scandal that gets dissected in barbershops, debated on podcasts, and memed into immortality. King Harris thought he was untouchable. Instead, he became the star of a leaked tape so explosive, it turned family pride into public shame overnight. And trust me, this is only the beginning. King Harris was supposed to be the prince of hip-hop royalty. Born into the Harris dynasty, son of T.I. and Tiny, his crib wasn't just a nursery, it was basically a stage. From the moment he could walk, cameras were rolling thanks to the family's hit reality show, T.I. and Tiny, The Family Hustle. While most kids were struggling to learn cursive, King was already a household name. But instead of growing into the polished image of hip-hop heir, King leaned hard into chaos. He didn't want to be the golden child. He wanted to be the storm. And oh, did he deliver? Fights in Waffle Houses? Check. Instagram lives arguing with strangers? Check. A social media persona built on bravado, entitlement, and raw teenage rebellion? Double check. King Harris wasn't just T.I.'s son. He was the Harris family's walking headline machine. And then came the jail tape. At first, it was just whispers. Something's out there. A clip's about to drop. But the internet knows how to smell blood, and when the footage finally hit, it detonated like TNT. King Harris, behind bars, caught on recording saying things that would make even the most scandal-hardened fan clutch their pearls. He wasn't just venting. He wasn't just talking trash. He was allegedly exposing himself, his family, and his father in ways that made jaws hit the floor. Secrets that were supposed to stay buried. Conversations that should have never seen daylight. And all of it wrapped in King's reckless, I don't care delivery, the same energy that got him in trouble in the first place. Fans couldn't believe what they were hearing. One tweet summed it up perfectly. King Harris in jail running his mouth like he forgot jail got microphones. The comments were merciless. Another viral post read, T.I. raised a son who turned family hustle into family humiliation. The memes practically created themselves, but beneath the laughter was a darker undertone. This wasn't just about King embarrassing himself. This was about him dragging T.I.'s legacy through the mud. For 2 decades, T.I. fought to build his image, the king of the South, the family man, the hustler turned businessman. And in one leaked recording, his son cracked that empire in half. The reaction from the blogs was immediate. TMZ, The Shade Room, Hollywood Unlocked, they all pounced like wolves. Headlines screamed, King Harris exposed in jail tape. T.I. blindsided by son's leaked secrets. Clips flooded TikTok, each edit more savage than the last. Someone spliced King's jail audio over an old Family Hustle episode where T.I. was giving fatherly advice, turning the wholesome scene into a tragic irony. The caption, when the family hustle turns into the family struggle. And then came the fans' first real debate. Was King Harris just a reckless kid blowing off steam in jail, or was this deeper? A sign of a son rebelling so hard he was willing to burn his father's entire legacy to the ground. Some argued it was just teenage stupidity amplified by fame. He's young, he's dumb, we've all said reckless stuff at that age, one commenter defended. But others weren't having it. Normal kids don't have their mouths recorded in jail, another fan shot back. This ain't regular teenage rebellion. This is next-level betrayal. T.I.'s silence spoke louder than words. For a man known for his verbose interviews, his endless commentary on everything from politics to parenting, Tip was suddenly quiet. Too quiet. Reports trickled in that he was devastated, even in tears, after hearing what his son said on the tape. Fans speculated that T.I.'s silence wasn't just embarrassment, it was heartbreak. The look of a father realizing his own son might be his undoing. And that's when the story took on a life of its own. This wasn't just about a leak anymore. It was about betrayal, legacy, and the ultimate irony. A father who built his career on controlling the narrative, only to have his son hijack it with a grainy jail recording, the internet crowned it the Harris dynasty's darkest chapter. And honestly, they weren't wrong. Because if this was just the beginning, the twists waiting around the corner were about to make the roastings, the memes, and the initial outrage look tame. The first wave of the scandal was pure shock. But the second wave? That was the explosion. Because once King Harris's jail tape spread like wildfire, it wasn't just fans reacting. It was celebrities, comedians, rappers, podcasters, and even washed-up reality stars crawling out of the woodwork to weigh in. Suddenly, King Harris's name was trending in every corner of the internet, and not for the reasons T.I. would have hoped. Let's start with the memes. Because in the age of digital chaos, memes are the true court of public opinion. Within hours of the leak, Twitter was plastered with edits of King's face pasted onto Tekashi 6699 with captions like, "When the streets don't claim you, but the jail tape does." TikTok creators reenacted the entire recording using toy jail cells, orange jumpsuits, and wigs that looked like they came straight out of a dollar store. One viral skit had someone dressed as T.I. weeping into a microphone while a King Harris impersonator shouted from behind bars, "It's my turn now, Pops!" Instagram pages had a field day. One page photoshopped T.I.'s King of the South album cover into Tears of the South, showing Tip crying while holding a tissue box. Another created a fake Family Hustle reboot poster called Family Bustle, the Jailhouse Edition. The creativity was savage, but the message was clear. King Harris was officially a cultural punchline, but the internet wasn't just laughing, it was dissecting. Fans replayed the leaked audio like it was a rap diss track, analyzing every pause, every slip, every line. Threads popped up breaking down his words like scholars decoding Shakespeare. Notice at the 47-second mark, King shifts tone. That's when he accidentally shaded T.I.'s credibility as a father. One Twitter detective wrote. Replies poured in, with people arguing like this was the Zapruder film. And then came the podcasts. If you thought Twitter was ruthless, the podcast world turned this into their personal Super Bowl. Every show, from drink champs to random guys recording in their basements with $50 microphones, suddenly had King Harris on the docket. Some were sympathetic. He's young, give him grace. This is what happens when you grow up famous. Others were merciless. King Harris is proof that money doesn't buy wisdom. He's an embarrassment to his daddy's empire. Clips from these debates went viral on TikTok, creating a cycle where outrage fed more outrage. Now, let's talk celebrity reactions, because this is where the story went from messy to nuclear. Scent, never one to miss a chance at trolling, hopped on Instagram with a caption that read, "See? This why you gotta raise your kids, right? I told y'all, these little dudes ain't built for the game." He added crying, laughing emojis and tagged T.I. directly. Fans lost their minds. The Shade Room reposted it within minutes, and the comment section turned into a gladiator pit. Some laughed along with 50, others accused him of crossing the line. But one thing was undeniable. He'd just poured gasoline on the fire. Snoop Dogg chimed in too, posting a cryptic video of himself smoking and shaking his head while muttering, "Man, these youngins, SMH, can't even stay solid behind bars for 5 minutes." Fans interpreted it as a jab at King, and the video racked up millions of views overnight. Even comedians got in on the action. Cat Williams, who's made a career out of exposing industry mess, allegedly cracked a line during one of his sets. King Harris in jail talking like he hosting a podcast? Boy, sit down before your daddy grounds you? The audience howled. Clips of the joke hit social media, and suddenly the scandal wasn't just gossip. It was entertainment gold. And if you thought the reactions stopped with rappers and comedians, think again. Reality stars, influencers, and YouTubers piled on. Cardi B allegedly dropped a spicy comment during a live session. Y'all gotta stop making excuses. Fame or not, you can't be out here embarrassing your family like that. Whether she meant King directly or not, the internet took it and ran, plastering her name next to his across every gossip blog. Meanwhile, fans turned the scandal into a cultural war. On one side, people defended King, insisting he was just a product of pressure. Imagine living in T.I.'s shadow. The kid never had a chance, one viral tweet argued. Others mocked the sympathy, posting, "Don't nobody care about shadows when you out here snitching on yourself in 4K." Comment sections became battlefields. People who'd never met a Harris in their life fought like they were testifying in court. But what made this wave of scandal even crazier was how it spilled into hip-hop's ongoing debates. Suddenly, King Harris's jail tape was being used as evidence in bigger conversations. Old heads said it proved Gen Z rappers were soft, reckless, and unprepared. Younger fans clapped back, saying the industry was toxic and King was just the latest casualty. Every corner of the culture used his pain as a talking point, which only amplified the drama. And through all of this, T.I. stayed mostly silent, and that silence screamed louder than words. Every time he posted about anything else, fans flooded his comments. Say something about King! You crying yet? Control your house before you try to control hip-hop. It was brutal. For a man who built a reputation as opinionated, calculated, and always in control, Tip now looked powerless. But here's where the story took a twist. While the internet clowned King, while celebrities shaded him, while fans debated, a darker narrative began to emerge. The idea that the tape wasn't just embarrassing, it was dangerous. Because in the streets, credibility is everything, and King's credibility was now shredded. Some fans started asking, would he even be safe walking around Atlanta after this? Others whispered that the tape could put real targets on his back, since the recording allegedly contained details that should have never left his mouth. Suddenly, this wasn't just a family embarrassment, it was a potential security threat. Promoters allegedly backed away from booking him at events. Rappers whispered that they didn't want to be associated with him. And every time his name popped up, the first reaction wasn't music or talent, it was scandal. And that's when people realized this wasn't just another messy celebrity moment. This was a cultural earthquake with aftershocks still spreading. King Harris wasn't just exposed by a jail tape. He'd become the face of privilege gone wrong, of fame turned toxic, of legacy children fumbling the bag in the harshest way possible. But the craziest part? This was only the second act. The laughter, the memes, the outrage, they were just the buildup. The real fallout was still waiting, lurking in the shadows, ready to crush both King and T.I. in ways they couldn't imagine. Because scandals like this don't fade. They evolve. They grow teeth. And the next chapter? That's where the tears get real. Fallouts are funny in one way. They don't arrive quietly. They arrive like hurricanes, smashing everything in their path and leaving reputations scattered like debris. And that's exactly what King Harris's leaked jail tape did. The laughter was still there, sure. The memes still booming. The tweets still roasting. But underneath, the consequences were carving their way into the Harris family name like graffiti on marble. Let's start with the most obvious, T.I. himself. For 2 decades, Clifford Harris built an empire. He branded himself as the King of the South, a man who came from the streets, mastered the rap game, survived prison time, and emerged as a respected elder of hip-hop. He wasn't just another rapper, he was an architect of Atlanta's cultural dominance. Add to that his TV career, business ventures, and a carefully polished family man persona, and you've got a legacy most rappers could only dream of. But legacies are fragile things. And in the court of public opinion, all it takes is one viral tape to crack them. Suddenly, T.I. wasn't trending for music, philanthropy, or culture-shaping interviews. He was trending because his son had dragged his name into the mud. Every blog, every podcast, every meme framed T.I., not as the King of the South, but as a father who'd lost control of his household. The optics were devastating. Reports claimed T.I. was in tears when he first heard the tape. And honestly, who could blame him? This wasn't a minor embarrassment. This was his own blood turning his life's work into a punchline. It's one thing for critics or rivals to tear down your reputation. It's another for your own son to do it, in his own voice, in a tape that half the world has now saved to their camera rolls. But T.I. wasn't the only one feeling the blow. The entire Harris family was caught in the blast radius. Tiny, T.I.'s wife and King's mother, allegedly broke down during private family conversations. Fans speculated she was furious that her child had been reduced to tabloid fodder. King's siblings caught strays online too, with trolls bombarding their pages with comments like, "At least you ain't the jail tape, kid." It was ugly. No one in the Harris household could escape it. And here's where things got even scarier. The industry reaction. In hip-hop, credibility is currency. And King Harris's tape annihilated his. Promoters reportedly started pulling back. Booking agents whispered that he was too risky. Brands that might have considered him for partnerships suddenly went radio silent. When your first viral headline is exposed by a jail tape, it doesn't exactly scream endorsement material. Even rappers who'd once entertained the idea of collabs allegedly backed off. One industry insider spilled online, "Ain't nobody trying to stand next to that kid now. Not after that tape." In a genre where image is everything, King's was now toxic. But what about King himself? Did he disappear quietly? Of course not. This is King Harris we're talking about, the Prince of Chaos. Instead of vanishing, he leaned in, posting cryptic lives, clapping back at critics, and doubling down on his rebellious persona. In his mind, this wasn't the end. It was just another headline. But the problem? He wasn't in control of the narrative anymore. The internet had already branded him reckless, spoiled, exposed. Fans debated endlessly about what this meant for his future. Some said this was the final nail in the coffin, the moment King Harris became irredeemable. Others argued it might actually fuel his career, because in today's culture, infamy is just as profitable as fame. After all, how many celebrities have we seen rise from scandal stronger than ever? Tekashi 6699, Chris Brown, even Kanye in his darker moments? Controversy sells. And King now had controversy in bulk. But while fans argued, the deeper tragedy played out quietly in the background: the collapse of the Harris family image. T.I. and Tiny. The family hustle had painted them as a hip-hop Brady Bunch, a tight-knit clan balancing fame with normalcy. Now that image was obliterated. Instead of family hustle, it was family in crisis. Instead of wholesome parenting moments, it was leaked tapes and public meltdowns. For longtime fans, it was like watching a fairy tale corrode in real time. And then there were the think pieces. Every major gossip outlet turned the scandal into cultural commentary. The fall of the hip-hop dynasty. What King Harris tells us about celebrity children? T.I.'s biggest L, raising a son who couldn't handle the spotlight. Journalists and bloggers, many of whom had probably never typed King Harris before, suddenly had PhDs in Harris family history. Podcasts kept fanning the flames. One host compared King's scandal to Michael Jackson's family drama, another to the Kennedy scandals. One even called it the Kardashianification of hip-hop families, a transformation where every misstep becomes public property, dissected for clicks and profit. Meanwhile, the memes got crueler. T.I. edited into scenes from Boys in the Hood, crying as Cuba Gooding Jr. slammed walls. King edited into reality TV confessionals saying, "I just feel like nobody understands me," and fans couldn't stop sharing them. Pain became content, and content became currency. But let's get real. The fallout wasn't just about memes, jokes, or lost deals. It was about the bigger picture: trust. Fans no longer trusted King. Promoters no longer trusted him. Even family loyalty seemed shaken. And in a world built on loyalty, whether in music, business, or blood, once that's gone, it's nearly impossible to repair. Yet here's the irony: the scandal also cemented King Harris as unforgettable. Plenty of celebrity kids fade into obscurity, remembered only as footnotes in their parents' stories. King Harris, however, guaranteed his name will live on, not for achievements, but for controversy. And that, twisted as it sounds, is its own kind of legacy. And T.I., his tears became a symbol. A man who fought for everything, built everything, survived everything. Undone by his own son's recklessness. It's Shakespearean, really. A king dethroned not by rivals, not by haters, but by his own heir. The aftermath left fans asking questions bigger than the scandal itself. What does it mean for hip-hop's next generation? Are celebrity kids doomed to crumble under the weight of their parents' fame? Is clout more dangerous than crime? Or is this just another messy chapter in the never-ending saga of fame and family? Because one thing's for certain, scandals like this don't disappear. They don't fade into history. They become history. King Harris's jail tape isn't just a moment. It's a marker, a turning point, a story people will reference years from now when talking about the dangers of fame, family, and the internet. And the scariest part? The story's not even over. Because if one leaked tape can cause this much chaos, what happens when the next clip surfaces? Or when King, unfiltered as ever, decides to speak again? The Harris dynasty may still be standing, but the cracks are now permanent. And everyone's waiting for the next piece to crumble. And everyone's waiting for the next piece to crumble. And there it is. The scandal that shook the Harris dynasty to its core. One leaked jail tape, one reckless son, and suddenly, the family hustle has turned into the family struggle. King Harris wanted to prove he was grown, untouchable, and unstoppable. Instead, he gave the internet a front row seat to his downfall. And poor T.I., The man who fought for decades to build his empire was left in tears, blindsided by his own bloodline. But let's be honest, this isn't just about King. This is about what happens when fame collides with ego, when clout outweighs common sense, and when family drama becomes a spectator sport. In today's culture, mistakes don't vanish. They trend, they meme, they multiply. The Harris family learned that lesson the hard way. Now it's your turn to weigh in. Are you Team King's just a reckless kid learning the ropes, or Team this tape officially buried the Harris legacy? Drop your take in the comments. Don't hold back. The internet won't, so why should you? And while you're down there, smash that like button like it owes you bail money. Hit subscribe like you're signing up for scandal insurance. Turn on those notifications, because trust me, this saga isn't over. Tomorrow, next week, next month, another bombshell will drop, and you'll want to be right here when it does. This isn't just a channel. This is your front row ticket to chaos. This is Scandal Spark, where comedy meets catastrophe, where family feuds meet internet fury, and where reputations are built and destroyed in real time. Remember, in this world, no crown is safe, and somebody's reputation is always next.